Is it often that designers get to feel like rock stars?
Definitely not. Although we should, you know. Come on, we're creating the things that change people's lives, and you know we should get a little recognition for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a car that might potentially change the way people look at cars altogether.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what we're doing at Tesla is really changing the way that people look at cars, and it's a revolution, and it's really ridding the world of the addiction to fossil fuel, first and foremost, and then creating vehicles that are fully electric that are better than gas-powered cars. Model S does that in a sedan. Model X changes the way that you think about and use an SUV or a minivan, and it's got the performance of a Porsche. I mean, it's awesome.
It is pretty amazing. And you've gone from the Roadster to the S to the X. Why are the labels getting shorter and shorter?
Well, I mean, we started something with Model S. We have Model X. There's a little mystery in there. You'll see that mystery in a few minutes, and who knows where we go from there.
Is it an easy decision to go from Mazda to Tesla, or was it a hard decision to make?
It was hard at the moment, but it was the right and easy solution. And you know, I think this is a brand that's really changing the world, and this is an opportunity to be involved in a revolution. And Mazda was, you know, zoom and all that, but Tesla is a revolution. I mean, there's no other way to put it.
And finally, what's it like to work with Elon? He's like recognized as one of the greatest minds on the planet, pretty much. So what's it like being around someone who's that innovative and has so many projects on the go?
Yeah, Elon's a visionary, and you know, we communicate all the time, and I'm just super excited to work with him and to just, as a creative person, to be able to ping ideas off of somebody who gets it and wants to push buttons even farther. You know, as a designer, sometimes you think you've come up and created the best solution, and Elon will come along and say, yeah, but what if we do this? And well, let's make that even better. Great idea, but let's keep going. Don't stop there. And so we're constantly feeding off each other, and it's super exciting.
Very cool. Congratulations on the inspiration, the innovation. Thanks very much.
Appreciate it. Enjoy it.
We started the business back in 2013 after becoming neighbors with Tesla and SpaceX. Our neighbors always inspire us, and it's really fun when we get to work with them on their personal cars. Franz in particular, the designer of all the Teslas that we know and love, has a really nice red Model 3 that was photographed and seen all over the internet, quite low to the ground. This was back in 2018. He became a customer of ours and was using our lowering springs. He's been so kind as to refer family members, neighbors, and we're really grateful for his support. The nice things of being neighbors with Tesla is that it's really easy to work on their cars. They're literally just a few minute walk from here. So when Franz said he wanted us to install our coilovers on his car, my business partner Avi walked over across the business park, went into the design studio, grabbed his car, brought it over, and we got to work. Franz has had his Model 3 since late 2017. It was one of the first Model 3s ever produced. He's still driving the same car almost every day. And as someone who's arguably designed one of the most perfect cars, it only makes sense that he has the best suspension money can buy. So when we first started modifying Franz's car back in 2018, we only had one suspension product, and that was lowering springs. Lowering springs are a loved item because they have two different spring rates inside of a single spring, which means that you basically can get the height you want, get a soft, comfortable ride around town, and then when you load up the springs when you're cornering in the canyons, it moves to a secondary rate, and the car handles flat and has more grip. Springs are an amazing product, loved by thousands of Tesla customers around the world. But for some people who want something more, we offer multiple versions of our coilovers. What a coilover is, in essence, is an adjustable spring and shock combination. And what that allows us to do for our clients is to allow them to pick any height they want, to pick any adjustability they want on firmness, front or rear, so they can make it really firm for the racetrack or really soft for the commute around town. The car means different things at different times. For our client Franz, some days that means he's commuting around town, driving his kids to school. Other times that means that he's driving the canyons and enjoying what a Tesla can do at a higher performance level. The beauty of our adjustable coilovers are that on the softer settings, you can enjoy the comfort of a perfect daily driven car. And then when you want to go fast and you want to go to the racetrack or drive the canyons, you can quickly turn them up and it becomes just a handling machine with reduced body roll, with increased grip, and with just a steering and feedback response that you just don't get with a mass-produced car. And also, while we were at it, we fitted our adjustable sway bars. And our sway bars have 3 settings, front and rear. What that basically means is the car is going to have less body roll. You'll still be comfortable around town. If you want the car to have more understeer or oversteer, you can dial it in quite rapidly to the settings that you prefer. The nature of installing coilovers and sway bars is pretty straightforward. We did all the work on the car in one day. when the car was ready, I swung by a design studio and picked up Franz on my Model Y, and we came over here and showed him his new car. On our drive over from design studio, Franz and I were talking about just our driving experiences with all kinds of interesting cars. And I was surprised that he was saying how much he loved driving the Semi. Semi is not really something that you think about as a driver's car, but he was saying how surreal it is to be in a center position truck that's that high off the ground but has that much responsiveness and is that fast and fun to drive. And it made me just wonder how cool would it be to race a Semi. The beauty of modifying a car to the way you like it to handle is that you can really make the car perfect. Ultimately, mass-produced cars like a Tesla Model 3 are designed for every environment, for every driver. They're made for the masses. And one of the beautiful things about modifying a car is that it's made for you and drives the way you want it to drive. And that's the beauty of adjustable coilovers, adjustable sway bars, and a lot of the components that we make, is that we can really change the driving characteristic precisely for how you like to drive your own car. And that's something that mass production, unfortunately, can never do no matter how good it is. The nature of all the cars that we design are that they're highly adjustable, they're track tested, they're daily driven, and they're meant to be something that you can enjoy with your family, you can enjoy in the canyons by yourself when you want to clear your mind, you can enjoy at the racetrack when you want to go fast and test your personal skills. The beauty of an unplugged Tesla is that you make it yours. And it's a joy for us to be able to work with customers, including the most discerning ones like Franz, who designed the car, be able to make it special for him and to know that he's out there driving his car, enjoying our coilovers and our sway bars. And we really just appreciate the support of Franz, of our neighbors at Tesla, and of all of our customers. At Unplugged, we believe Tesla makes the best cars in the world. We have so much fun being able to modify them for our customers. Thank you again to Franz for entrusting us with your personal car, and we hope you enjoy the ride.
Talk about the Cybertruck design. How did this design come to be?
Cybertruck is one of these rare moments where, in a way, form followed function. A lot of times we put the form in front of the function, especially in the automotive world, and it's really tough to mix the two. But Cybertruck is really born out of the idea of a different way of manufacturing a material that put the toughness on the outside. So we really wanted to use stainless steel as a material so that the hardest part of the vehicle was on the outside, not the delicate paint. And it felt right for a truck that's used in like a Swiss Army knife in any kind of environment. It has to be tough. So stainless steel is really tough to form, especially when you make it bulletproof or thicker to withstand impacts and not be damaged. And so we really looked at new ways of manufacturing it. You could only break form and form it in one direction. You can't do compound curves or things with the thickness of the stainless steel that we're using. So it really led us to a design that was really plainer, really simplistic, and was also a chance to break the paradigm of what pickup trucks have been for the past 60 or 70 years. They're the same. There's kind of this three-box shape. And we just thought from an aerodynamic perspective, having a covered back, a sloping roof would also be helpful. And oddly enough, you may not look it, but the Cybertruck is an incredibly aerodynamic vehicle.
I'm curious if you have a favorite design, favorite feature, something that you're most proud of.
Favorite one is the one that's coming. I think that we can't talk about. I'm really excited about Cybertruck. I think this vehicle has the chance to be something really radical in a pretty normal space. So I'm looking forward to that shakeup and seeing them on the street. And it's incredibly functional. It's not just the way it looks. It's as functional as any of its competitors, if not more. And so I think people use it in ways that we can't even expect, and it'll be great to see how that plays out.
Oh my fucking God.
The window smashing was definitely not a thing that we expected to happen. I had been in the back prior to getting on stage, throwing this ball at the window multiple times. Didn't break, and we showed video proof of that. But that moment was a little bit of a heart drop. But at the end of the day, it actually ended up being something really special. And I think after the fact, when I was talking with the people in the audience, they're like, that was supposed to happen, right? Well, at least the ball didn't go through the window and kill anybody or anything. So it became a meme very quickly, and I think it really helped Cybertruck take on a whole cultish being of its own, I guess.
How different will the production Cybertruck be from this vehicle behind you? And also, what's taking so long to get it off the production line?
There's a lot of new things in Cybertruck. When we're reinventing a product, sometimes we have to go through these processes just to prove it out. We had this idea that making an exoskeleton vehicle could work, and so we've been using that time to make sure that that actually is working. And the Cybertruck will look, for all intents and purposes, just like the one behind us. It's maybe slightly smaller percentages, but in general, this is what the truck will look like. There was a moment, where I thought when I first joined Tesla that it would be great to see multiple Teslas in one drive experience around town, and now it's hard to go anywhere without seeing a bunch of Teslas. So it's great to see impact that Tesla's had in people's lives, but also how it's changed the industry and really push this idea that an EV can be better than an internal combustion vehicle. Cybertruck will continue that story.
Some people hate the Cybertruck design, other people love it. How does that make you feel? Was that sort of the idea behind it?
It wasn't the idea behind it. I think it was just about making, again, the form follows the function, and creating something that's different and taking a chance and being bold, but still being safe and functional and hitting all the attributes for what a pickup truck should be. And there's no reason why you can't change the recipe.
There are a lot of unique features on Teslas, like the door handles, for example. Why does Tesla decide to push the boundaries on small features like that?
Some of these small features, like the door handles, are just really great first touch points. The handle is the thing that greets you when you approach the car. And so to have the handle come out magically as you approach it and give you your first kind of handshake really gave a slight anthropomorphic feel to the car. Just humanized it a little bit. Allowed you to not just be stepping into a really cold machine. It was a warming gesture. And it's also very aerodynamic to not have door handles hanging out in the wind on the side of the car. So we combine those kinds of things. Tesla isn't beholden to what's been done in the past, and we're always trying to push the boundaries and deliver on a promise of something fun, something enjoyable, and something that you would love to own and tell your friends about.
I mean, I don't think there's any car in the $40,000 and under range.
I wasn't ready for that.
That has this kind of power. And when you step on it,
Tell me when you're
Never ready for it.
it really is everything my Model S is. Just not as fast, maybe not
as
quite
fast, not as big.
not as big, but that's okay. But
40
it still feels like quality. It doesn't feel like a cheaper version of a big car. Yeah. Any secret you can give away?
Car we're featuring today, 2024 Tesla Model 3. You know, Tesla is one of the most popular products on our website. Everybody always has a lot of questions. So rather than get like a marketing guy or somebody from PR, which I don't even think you have a Tesla, we got the Chief of Design and Chief Engineer, Lars and Franz. Come on in, guys. See, this way you get it right from the horse's mouth. See, these are the guys designed it, engineered it.
Hey Jay, how are you?
Good,
Good to see you again.
Now, I see some subtle changes, but there's probably more than that. What have we done to this new Model 3?
Well, the new Model 3 is really just an improvement over the previous one. It's been about 7 years since the Model 3 was introduced, and the original Model 3 was really, the idea was around making a smaller and more affordable Model S. Model S was great, but not everybody could afford it. So we want to take all the great attributes that came with a Model S and just shrink it down slightly and make it much more affordable, which we did. And so since then, it's been a great selling car and super fun to drive, as Lars can tell you. But we wanted to mature the car a little bit. So we've improved the front end. We have much narrower headlights. It's much simpler in the front. It's actually, through all that work, we've been able to improve the aerodynamics of the car too. And in the back, you'll notice that we've updated the taillights and the whole rear end is new. And there's some really great, elegant lines of lighting in the back there, and there's no split lines in the trunk. As we get around to the back, you can see that.
And what is the coefficient of drag now with this model?
It's 0.219. So that's
0.219.
yeah, it's pretty slippery.
It's actually our best aerodynamic car now.
Very good. And that costs a dual motor. So the range in this is what, about over 300 miles?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
And from an engineering point, what have we done?
But I mean, engineering this, at Tesla, we like to, whenever we get a chance, we try and make everything new and better. And really, this is engineered from the ground up. We did a lot of safety improvements. It was already a great car from a safety standpoint. We improved side crash by really looking at the data we have in the field, picking that back, and then looking at the accidents that happen most often and increasing that. So side crash will be better. IHS has a new test coming out that we're probably going to score top ranked on, which is probably the only sedan that'll be able to do that.
Really?
And then, Franz mentioned all the styling updates, but when we did that as well, we also try to go look at how do we make the car lighter, more efficient. So we got the aero updates, we have new tires, we have new wheels, those are all more efficient. We added a full new interior, which we haven't even talked about, which has new screens, ventilated seats, and a bunch of other features, but we also made it ride better, and it's much quieter inside, and more cabin isolation.
Well, the thing I find the most fascinating is the range. Because any other electric vehicle you buy, they tell you only charge it to 80%. So if the range is 300, you're really going 260 or 270. Now these batteries, maybe I have it wrong, you can correct me. You can charge these to 100% every day, all day, correct?
Yeah, so in our rear-wheel drive vehicles, we have lithium iron phosphate batteries. Those go up to 100% every day, all day. In our long-range vehicles, like the dual motor, we do have nickel-based batteries, and then we'll say somewhere in between 80 and 90% depending on the charge. And then of course you can go supercharge it full when you're on a road trip.
Right. Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting.
And that's really just about cycling. Lithium iron phosphate tends to last longer. Over the years, we've gotten pretty good at even our standard nickel batteries. You know, they only lose 5-6% after 10 years.
You know, I had my other Tesla 7 years, and that was the first gen. So I think the range is like 228, and then it was 221, maybe at the worst 219.
Yeah, so you lost 3%.
Yeah, but that was over a lot of miles and a lot of,
and that happens with fuel economy too, right? In a gas car, it tends to go down over time. One thing we try to do at Tesla is whenever we make new tires, we always make them slightly more efficient.
Right.
So if you 50,000 miles, 40,000 miles, you got to replace your tires. You get the new Tesla tire, you get that range back because you got a more efficient tire on the car. Yeah.
All right.
Same with the wheel design.
Yeah.
We're always looking at how
Wheels
we
and
take
tires,
the
really.
wheel design and add, just get a little bit more efficiency out of it, because believe it or not, the wheel design can have a big impact in overall range. So we can gain a couple miles of range just by the way that we design.
Well, here's a question from the design standpoint. More efficiency is better cooling, or does one fight the other? For example, you've got disc brakes, so you want to cool the brakes, especially in Arizona or a hot place like this. There are certain wheels that cool the brakes better, but if you make the wheel more aerodynamic, is it less cooling to the wheel? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, there's two kinds of airflow. There's under the vehicle airflow and there's outside the vehicle. What Franz is talking about with efficiency, that's really getting the air around the outside of the tire. Even in most wheels like that are completely open, the wheel is spinning quite a bit. It creates like an air dam to get to the brakes. To cool the brakes, you really want to come from underneath the car. We still have that, but of course in a Tesla, you barely use your brakes. With regenerative braking and now one pedal driving, you don't ever really get to the point of touching the brakes.
You know, it's so funny, on my Plaid, I'd be on the LA freeways, maybe this is just LA freeways, and I would hear this kind of a weird noise, and I thought, I got out and I'm looking, am I rubbing the tire or something? Am I too low? I couldn't figure out what it was. And then I drove a couple other cars, and it was the same noise, and I realized it's the freeways. I think it's the rain grooves. The tires kind of sing as you go down the road, but it sounds like
there was that one,
like the Fly movie. Help me! It sounds like you hear this noise, and I thought, why is my car doing? But it wasn't the car. It was. I think it's the grooves.
No, there was a few years ago, someone paved a certain section out in the desert. So when they went over it, it played like Beethoven's Fifth or something. I can't remember. But it'd be like, dum.
Really?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. You have to look it up.
That seems like a worthwhile idea.
Yeah, it's totally.
How much thought and effort went into that? Okay, very nice. Is this a new color?
This is a new color.
It is, yeah.
Because I don't think I've seen many red Teslas. There's not a whole lot.
Well, we've had a red, but we just wanted to improve it. When you see this in the daylight, it really comes to life, really shows off the form of the car a little bit better, and it's an exciting, sporty color, so yeah, we're excited.
The thing that drives me nuts, I meet people all the time, and they go, I mentioned Tesla, and they go,
Come here from the United States. He's the chief designer here at Tesla, and he's come here to do a presentation for us, and he's going to show us about some of Tesla's previous designs, some of their new designs, and their future and plans here in China and the Chinese market. Let's check it out.
We need more EVs in the space. Our mission at Tesla is to really rid the addiction to fossil fuel. And so we know we can't do it alone. Competition drives us to be better as well. I think we started with the philosophy that, when I look around, I see a lot of copycat. I see a lot of maybe in a flattering way, we're doing something right. Yeah. If people are copying us. And it's not to say that they're blatantly copying, but I think there's something that people are gravitating towards and they want to have their own voice. Cars, trucks right now are kind of boring. They're all the same. So how can we kind of bring the future forward a little bit and, create something really futuristic? And having somebody bold like Elon is really the kind of power behind being able to do them. We're not stuck in a mold.
Right.
And we can change and we can do unexpected things and make them actually better and a more pleasant experience. And automotive design needs a few of these things to kind of move the needle forward and get us thinking about sometimes a radical change helps unlock normalcy.
Yeah.
And again, being a change agent, you can use the power of design to help kind of get people to change and think a little bit differently. And we just want to bring a clean, beautiful aesthetic to the market. I think people aren't really thinking about how powerful autonomy can be in our near future. And the idea of not having to drive anymore and take that burden off of you and you get your time back. Like the most precious thing we have in our lives is time. You still get it back, right? At the end, it's gone, right? We're maybe stuck in the consumers may be stuck in the mindset of I'll always be driving, but that's not the case. And so how do we start developing a product that can ease you into this scenario where ultimately autonomy will be doing the driving for you, which becomes your DD in a way, right? And you get your time back because you can do something else. So what's that environment? So we're creating that environment.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, I like American car. It's the most American-made car you can buy. It's made, I don't know if it's 100%, but percentage-wise higher than any other vehicle built in the United States.
Model Y is number one, but this one's number two.
Yeah, people think it's a foreign car. I don't know why, because it's electric. I don't know why that is. It's just a perception that people get for whatever reason. But it's because it's not in Detroit, I suppose, people think, oh, it's not American. Yeah. Okay, but good. I'm glad we settled that one. Okay. Now, what is the horsepower of this?
Horsepower, oh man, I gotta convert that. Well, it's got two motors, right? Front and rear.
Well, convert it from what?
From kilowatts. You always have to convert it from kilowatts. Two motors, front and rear. 340, 680, so it's 395, I think, 395 horsepower.
395, it's up 400 horsepower.
Yeah, it's a pretty quick car.
Okay. All right, cool. And it's less than $40,000?
That's right.
Yeah, right now it's $38,990.
Okay.
Or starting price before incentives.
$38,990. That's my favorite. No matter
it's not $999.
No matter how high tech, you still have to go with that 99. Like gasoline's at $499.9. No, it's $4 a gallon or $5 a gallon.
Yeah.
And we have a great lease program at $329 a month right now. So.
Okay. Very good. Are these cameras have always been here.
Yep, cameras are there. We really, approached the front end and the rear ends to really give it a new look, and then spent a lot of time in the interior to really improve the interior. New material story, different design. We added ambient lights. It's a bigger screen in the center now, a screen in the rear for the passengers in the rear seats. So, really all new interior.
As a designer, what is the most efficient aerodynamic design you've ever built, practical or impractical? I mean, how low can it go?
I mean, it starts to get, in the high teens is actually really challenging, where it starts to look like it's designed in the wind tunnel.
Yeah.
This might be one of the lowest or most efficient cars that I've ever been a part of.
Because what did you say it was?
0.219.
0.219. I mean, that's, all right.
It's pretty low.
That is pretty amazing.
And you have to look at all the details to do that. I mean, of course, we were talking about the wheels before that, but how the air comes in through the front scoops, goes around. Even here, we have a little lip at the back of the hood that not only helps aerodynamics, but improves wind noise because there's no buffeting that comes up over the hood as the air slips up and over better.
And of course, the advantage, you don't have downforce in this, correct?
Well, they go pretty fast too, so we do have to balance the front and rear lift, which is always a fun game when you're trying to be slick in a straight line. At higher speeds, you tend to get off balance front to rear.
Like I've got a T87 Tatra over there, and that's
that's got some downforce.
That's 0.27, but has no downforce.
It's just a straight line.
I mean, it's just strictly so at high speed.
It floats a little.
I mean,
it floats a little bit. Yeah. So I mean, that's the real trade-off. Trying to keep it on the ground, and try. There was a car called the Comparo, it was kind of like an Aeroatom out of England. The downforce only came into effect after like 125 miles an hour. So if you're more likely to get thrown off the road at 90 than you are at 140.
Oh, I see.
you know, so, which is really rather odd, you know. So I imagine that's always a fight, isn't it? Trying
Yeah,
to
well, one of the great things is that we have aerodynamicists as part of the team. They sit right next to the designers. They're working on this program with us as if they were designers as well. So they're kind of using their craft and helping us come up with the overall design. And they're always, a lot of these guys come from the Formula One world, where they're really just concerned about downforce. So now they're figuring out lift balance, downforce, and efficiency, you know, drag efficiency. And so it's, you know, a good challenge for them. We all kind of get together on a daily, hourly basis and just work through the ideas. And
So this has liquid-cooled batteries.
It does, yeah.
So where does the cooling enter for the batteries?
It actually comes in down here in the same spot. There's a little vent right below the
Okay,
fascia
almost
here.
like a traditional radiator.
Yeah, and we have active grill shutters there, you know, that can open and close.
Oh, they open and close?
So depending on how much cooling we need, if we want more aerodynamic situation, we'll close them up.
Right.
If we need more cooling, we'll open them. And so that's
So that does that automatically?
yeah.
like if you're at a supercharger, they'll open so you can get
Right,
airflow.
thermostatic. Okay, kind of like the Duesenberg vehicle that has the grill. It opens. Same
Well,
thing.
I mean, it's a little more subtle, but yeah.
Yeah. Just always wondered about that because then you're so aerodynamic, you're getting no cool air into the radiators.
Yeah, unless we need it.
And what do you use for coolant? Do you use a non-water glycol mix?
Yeah, basically it's just standard automotive non-glycol coolant.
Okay.
You know, the same coolant goes into the battery system that's shared with the motors. And then we have our super manifold up front, which can, with an octo valve on it, 8 different ports that go through one valve, and we can move the coolant to any of those places. With the heat pump that's in this car, we get really good low range efficiency because we're able to take heat from wherever it is, whether it's in the drive units, and put it to where we need it, whether it's the battery or the cabin. And that's what that octo valve does. Is really push it
I
in the
was
right
reading
places.
about that. Is really fascinating because that's a real engineering thing, I guess, the heat
Yeah.
pump. I mean, it's a whole different way of going about it.
Yeah.
Can you explain a little bit just for people who don't quite understand
Sure,
what a heat
like a
pump
lot of
is?
people when they hear heat pump, they might think we're pumping heat and the car will only get hot, but the heat pump is meant to both cool and heat the vehicle, and it interlinks the systems of the powertrain, so the battery and the drive units, to also the cabin. And it does that by pumping heat from wherever it is to where it needs to be. So if you want to cool something down, you can actually think of that as taking heat out of somewhere. And the cool thing about our heat pump is, and a lot of heat pumps don't work really well in cold temperatures because they need some heat to start moving around before they can really function efficiently. We actually have a 12 kilowatt compressor in there, and that in and of itself creates heat when it's moving.
Right.
And so we use that compressor's heat to kind of self-start itself in cold temperatures and get, you know, even that heat moving at, you know, minus 30, minus 40 degrees.
And that is unique to Tesla, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of other companies, you know, have used heat pumps, but they haven't figured